Want to find out how Jesus unexpectedly gave hope in the midst of a wedding and how he is still giving us hope today? Watch this entire video to find out. Happy Tuesday! Hi everyone, she's Chrissy.
And she's Sissy.
And we're Chrissy and Sissy. Welcome back, you all, to another Sunday school video. Before we get started, let's go ahead and thank our family for subscribing to our channel, our Chrissy and Sissy family. And hey, if you're not a part of the Chrissy and Sissy family, we will gladly welcome you, right, sis?
Right.
So go ahead and make sure that you subscribe to our channel, and don't just stop there. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to like, comment down below, and share this video. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, which are where, sis?
At the bottom of the screen.
At the bottom of the screen, y'all. So make sure you like us on Facebook of the same name, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, and lastly on Twitter. All right, you guys, let's go ahead. I know I sound like, broadcaster, but let's go ahead and get into this lesson, and make sure you are following to the end. I forgot to tell y'all should subscribe to our channel. Why? Because I heard that we're fun. We break down the word. We can break down the word from someone as young as 2 or maybe younger, and to somebody who's a little bit seasoned. All right, you guys. So just go ahead and follow the channel, and then we like to put some practical ways and share our stories along with the Sunday school lesson. So y'all, let's get into this lesson. The wedding at Cana, y'all. The wedding at Cana. Last week, if you have not watched our video, we talked about, the Apostle John. So we're still talking about the Apostle John and how he's talking to that mixed group of Gentiles and Jews. And we're talking now, he's at the wedding. Sis, can I tell them who's at the wedding? You go do all that.
You can go ahead and tell them.
Some of the people that were at the wedding, of course, we had the wedding guests, the host. We had the bridegroom, of course, the bride. And we also had Jesus, Mary, Jesus' mother, disciples, and later on in the lesson we learned Jesus' brethren also came. So this is just a continuation. I think about 3, depending on the what you read, the different versions you may read. We have about 3 days later. So depending on, who's giving the account or telling the story, those days may vary. But we know time, a short amount of time has passed, and they're at a wedding. And weddings back then lasted, several days. A blessing said 7 days. So without further ado, you guys, make sure you stick to the end to hear how we answer that question in our intro. And let's give it to sis.
All right. Thank you so much, Sissy, for that. Well, she broke down over half of what I had to say. Okay. So everyone listen. This is what's going on here. And I'm just going to summarize this up all nice and tight for you, wrap it in a bow. This is what happened. So Mary, Jesus' mother, was already at the wedding, and this is coming from John. We're in John the 2nd chapter. Okay, so Jesus' mother was already at the wedding when he and his disciples arrived there. A lot of people tend to say that with Jesus and his disciples attending this wedding, this is kind of like Jesus giving approval for marriage and earthly celebrations. It kind of goes on to say some other things about this big word that's called teetotalism. I want you all to look up that word, teetotalism, and comment down below as to what you think it is. I don't want to really get into teetotalism. I want you all to look it up and then give me some feedback on that, please. Thank you. So in the lesson, this is what happened. So Jesus is there. He's just, I would imagine, standing around enjoying the scenery. Okay. And so Mary walks up to him and she simply says to him, they're out of wine. Okay, mind you, she simply says they're out of wine. She does not say to him, will you make some more wine, or will you run to the store and get some more wine? She simply says they're out of wine. His reply to her is, what does that have to do with me? Okay, he goes on to tell her that his hour has not yet come. What he is saying in that sense is that he is not, has not, he's not yet the Messiah. Okay, so he's not yet publicizing who he is. Okay, and then it's kind of more like, because he addresses her as woman, so it's more kind of like that he's protecting her as well as still trying to wait until it's time for him to reveal who he is. Okay? So she simply, it appears, John does not say what her response to Jesus was. It just simply says that she turns to the servants and his disciples and say, do whatever he tells you to do. And I would assume she walks away. Okay. So therefore, Jesus turns to the servants. He did not go down in the middle of the party and make a big announcement. He turns to the servants and he says to them, fill 6 stone pots. Each stone pot held approximately 30 gallons of water, with water, and bring them to me. He did so. They did so. They filled the pots. He asked them to draw from it and to take it the to the master, or to the waiter, to the head server. Carried it to him. He tasted it, and then he was ordered to carry it to the bridegroom. Once he got there to the bridegroom with it, because the Jewish custom is for the best of the best wine to be served first. The bridegroom was then questioned, why did you hold out on the wine? Why are we just now bringing out this good wine and we done drunk the bad stuff? This is the best wine we've ever had. You know, what was going on with that? This part of the lesson right here tells us that Jesus only wants the best for us. He only wants the best for us. That's what I got from that part of the lesson. He goes on, and now this was the first miracle, the first public recorded miracle that Jesus performed. All right, at this wedding. Later on in the lesson, it's like around John chapter 2, verse 14 or 15. Is where Jesus refers to Mary as woman again. A lot of people kind of get hung on the fact that he called his mom woman. Because if I call my mom or my aunt woman, like, hey woman, what's up with this? You telling my business all out in the street? Yeah, kind of get like a backhand slap, but it was like a honor, a statement, I guess, like a word of honor, a badge of honor. He was identifying with who she was, or is it what she was, or what she is. I'm a woman.
Endearment, sis.
Yeah, a term of endearment, if you
Because
want
you
to
got to
say
think.
that. But it was
Oh,
not because the world, and I will say this, and you all can tell me what you think about that as well. You can comment down below on this. Because the world has taken so many terms and have tainted it, taken it out of context, and caused it to seem like it's something wrong with saying woman, used as a disrespectful statement. Okay, that's why we as people, when we hear that Jesus called his mom a woman, we kind of like, what? Okay, so would it be, instead of him referring to her as mother or mom, would it be that he was more so thinking about the protection that she was going to need after he goes to the cross and then after he ascends to heaven? Sis brought out the point of, and I never thought about this. She was like, where was Joseph? So we're thinking that maybe Joseph had already passed away. After we just kind of display, we're like, where was Joseph? Where was Joseph at the cross? Where was he? Okay. But we go on to say that Because over again, like I said, down in John, when Jesus goes prepares to go to the cross and he presents his mom to John, or he presents John when he says, behold your son John. Okay, so it's kind of like then it's like, okay, I'm getting ready to go to the cross. I'm getting ready to do what I was sent here to do. So John, I'm gonna need for you to take care of mom. Okay, so Rama, behold your son John. Okay, so this is what I got out of. This is a quick summary of the history of what was going on at the wedding of Cana. This is where a lot of people say, once again, Jesus um, gave his approval for marriage. He shows here that he only wants the best for us, because in this lesson he did not, once again, he did not show himself to the bridegroom or to the host. He went to the servant. It was just his servants and his disciples that witnessed this miracle. And the lesson says that his disciples believed on him. At that point, his disciples had confirmation. That was the confirmation they needed. This is the Messiah. He is who he say he is. At that point, there was no more doubt left. Go ahead, sis.
I'm not gonna try to get on publishing house. I love culture publishing house.
Please don't get on it.
And I
Just
can
go
get
pray
where they're
for them.
going. I could get what they're going with the lesson and the right of the lesson. I mean, the lessons are needed, and sometimes repetitive is good. We need to know, because every time we read the stories, the passages of scriptures, I should say, we get a new revelation. Sometimes when we don't read the lesson as a scholar and read the lesson as a regular person, we can understand, let me say a regular person, a saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. I mean,
A lay
need the Holy Ghost for
member.
us. When we just read the lesson, for
Not
just
even as a lay
any
member.
prior knowledge, I want to cover a few things. Because if you read the lesson, and like probably some of our viewers, you don't go to Sunday school class. That's okay. That's why we are here to break down the lesson. It's amazing how the aim tells us that we're going to discuss how Jesus responded to Mary. He responded to Mary as woman, right? And then he went on. Mary said, "Do what he says," and I could just do what he says. Bye. She got to do what she got to do, because the people at this wedding could be her relatives. But Jesus addresses his mom by woman. And like sis said, this is a term really of endearment, because you know who I automatically thought about? In Matthew's 9, verses 20 through 22, Mark 5, 25, 34, and Luke 8, 43 through 48. Do you know who I thought about? Who else did Jesus address as woman in the Bible? The woman with the issue of blood,
The one
right?
with the issue of blood.
The one with the woman, he wasn't like my lady, um, my princess, my queen. He said woman, he addressed, that's how I remember. And you know, when she touched the hem of his garment, just a little touch, he felt it. He felt, I think what the Bible says, this helped me out.
He felt the virtue
The
flow from his
virtue,
body.
I was about to say the virtue go from his body. I just want to make sure I was getting it right. So he felt the virtue of that. I'm just paraphrasing that. And so I remember a lesson. Jesus, not he had a way with women, but he really cared for women. So I thought about that too. That woman had a impacted Jesus just like his mom did. So he's addressing her as woman, because that's what you did. Mary, depending on her eldest son, we say Joseph was probably gone. She was a widow, because women depended on their eldest son when their husband died and their father was no longer there for them to return to. So you depend on your eldest son. There's more we could break down in that passage right there. So, but what I do like what the Sunday school lesson pointed out, it goes from looking at Jesus' response to Mary, but then reflecting on Jesus' transforming power in our lives, and share with others why the power of Jesus is necessary in our lives. Do this lesson adequately expresses that? Mm, not so much, sis. Don't. I'm just being honest. Can you truly read the lesson and get the aim from the lesson? You can once we dive in deeper. Once we realize who did Jesus reveal himself to in this lesson. He just got his disciples. They fresh off the recruitment train. Um, so he just got his disciples. We see later in John 1 and later on in the chapter, he gets his disciples. I know one was Andrew. So he got his disciples. They go on to the party. They go on to the wedding, excuse me. The wedding was like that's where it
It was
was
a
happening.
party.
So I'm just thinking they partying, they're drinking, not getting drunk, they're getting full with wine. Because a lot of people love to say Jesus turned water into wine, so I can just drink my merry way. He's okay with getting drunk. No, 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 no. Jesus, when they say in the lesson, let me just pinpoint it right. When they say, now I literally just had this somewhere. Oh, here we go. When it says that men had well drunk, that means that they were satisfied. You know how you get you know how when you eat a good 10-piece wing, but you only eat 8 of them because you were satisfied with that 8. They were satisfied because the wine they started custom back then was to water down the wine. Did you know that? So that's why Jesus revealed himself to the servants. They went out and filled those big, I just say jugs, but they filled them up. They had gallons and gallons of water. So they for themselves got to see that this was all water because anybody could have came back and said, scholars, Jewish people, and probably did. If you notice, when we look at each miracle in the Bible, there is there's a Jewish loophole, but there's a way that Jesus made it to where it was nothing but his power. Well, I don't
Right.
know if we're going to talk about Lazarus, but Lazarus rose on the 4th day because Jewish
Okay.
custom said that the spirit still lingered around the
Look,
body. So to
for three
prove
days.
that Lazarus was actually dead and gone, Jesus performed the miracle of having Lazarus raised on the 4th day. So having the jugs, the what you call them, sis? I forgot that
Stone
level.
pots.
Those stone pots filled up with water, and the servants knew they were filled up with water. Then all of a sudden, you had this good wine. What made wine so good? The wine was so good because it still had its sweetness after fermentation. And if you have any biology majors out there, once the wine, once you go through that fermentation process, it started to get a little nasty. But the fact that it still had that sweetness, it didn't have that alcohol taste, it had that sweetness. And that's what they say this wine is, because they were getting that watered down wine. They were, okay, I'm good with wine, but this wine made them want to go back for more. And
Mhm.
so I thought about a little life application, because the Bible lesson needs does tell us that Jesus brings joy and hope in unexpected ways. How amazing is it to know that this is the inauguration of the Masonic era? And who did Jesus, his first public recorded account or miracle, was to servants? He didn't, as Sis said, he didn't go into the middle of the party, the middle of the wedding, and say, I have this wine. The servants, because the Bible lets us know that the servants knew. And word then began to spread, but he revealed himself to the servants. Just like Jesus was born in, or born, some people say born by a manger, was born, in that stable
Mhm.
with all the animals. He didn't come in a nice palace, but he came in such a meek way, in an humble way. And how befitting it is that Jesus, along with his disciples, he got a little posse now coming into this wedding and starting inaugurating his ministry on earth with servants and his disciples. And I said, Jesus, and it didn't have to be this amazing big show, no parting of the Red Sea type of ordeal, but something as simple as making sure that wine was provided so that the family that hosted, the bride's family that hosted the wedding, did not have any shame or any embarrassment in the village. And I hope that was a good enough lesson for you all, because that's what I got out of the lesson, the wedding at Cana, Jesus' inauguration miracle. And John records, now my lesson said John recorded 7 miracles in this book, and there are many, 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 many miracles that Jesus performed. But John talks about those 7 because a lot of those are related to John, and we'll be able to talk about that. But sister, you have anything to say?
Immediately after Jesus turned the water into wine, Jesus, Mary, his mother, his disciples, and his brethren, they left the wedding and went down into Capernaum.
Capernaum. Yeah.
Capernaum.
Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching to the very, very end. So, we just want to thank you all again for tuning in today. We hope that we were a light to you all today. Make sure to dive into that Sunday school lesson and jot those notes down and join us on Friday for On That Note. Don't forget to leave your comment down below. And we wish you all give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it because that helps us out. And make sure to share it. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Told you will like it here because you stayed to the end. And again, dive into that lesson. Leave that comment down below. We want to wish you all a happy studying.